I know that Washington is insane. What I think may happen, and I think what Putin's hope is, that the Western Europeans come to their senses, because none of this can happen without the Western Europeans enabling Washington. If they finally said, no, we're not going to be part of this, and Washington is standing on its own, it doesn't have any cover. It can't pretend to be speaking for humanity and democracy. You know, it's just like, remember how the British Parliament undercut the Obama sock puppet in Syria, right? They voted, no, we're not going to do this. And so that just cut the ground right out from under it. Well, if Merkel finally stands up and says, well, we don't think this is a good idea. That's not what this is, first of all, we didn't want a Ukraine run by ultra-nationalists.
Nazis.
Or even Nazis. We don't want, that's not the Ukraine we wanted. Where'd these people come from? How did you Americans let these people get in control? And second, we're not going to be part of any effort to put down self-determination of these Russian provinces. How can we claim we're for self-determination in Western Ukraine and be against it in Southern and Eastern? And so I think Putin is just staying low-key, being reasonable, asking questions. He's not done anything so far, you know, but the Western press keeps lying and lying. Now, at some point, the Europeans have to notice that these are lies, and they have to wonder, why are they telling so many lies? And then they have to say, you know, this really is an orchestrated affair. Why are we part of it? Is this really something we want? Do we want these kinds of confrontations with Russia? You see, Russia, as you said earlier, they can't accept some major strategic threat. If they cave in to what is clearly a major move by Washington against them, this is a major military move by the United States against Russian strategic interest. And if Putin simply accepts that, then he's defeated. It's all over. He can't do that. He can't. So if Washington keeps pushing, if violence against Russians develop in eastern Ukraine, that's when the confrontation takes place. Now, I think Washington will fade. It will simply fold. It can't possibly deal with the Russian army on its own territory. It can't. And so it knows that it would lose, and then to save face, it would start rattling nuclear weapons, and then the whole world may be gone. And I just don't think they want to risk it. They'd rather wait, see if they can assassinate Putin. I mean, the United States government assassinates people all the time. You know, Obama now says he can assassinate American citizens. Well, if he can assassinate American citizens, he can assassinate Russian leaders. So this is just my bet at this present time, on the information we have at this time, that if it comes to a showdown over eastern Ukraine, Washington will back off. They won't want to go forward with that. NATO will not want to send European troops in. They just won't want to do that. Because an anti-ballistic missile defense might defend the United States somewhat, but it won't defend Europe because Russia will use cruise missiles. And cruise missiles can't be intercepted by anti-ballistic missiles. So all the European capitals can be wiped out at Putin's will. He can wipe them out anytime he wants to. Nothing anybody can do about it. So I just don't think they would want to join a reckless, insane adventure, a military adventure against Russia. So I think that's Putin's bet. He's saying that at some point the Europeans are going to come to their senses. And that's why he keeps asking questions. Why do you keep enabling the Americans to make these terrible mistakes? Look what's happened. All these Iraqis, all these Afghans, all these Libyans, all these Syrians, the Pakistanis, the people in Yemen, in Somalia. How many people do you want? How many destroyed lives and homes and livelihoods and dispossessed and displaced people do you want to be responsible for, Europe? And then you come here and talk to me about freedom and democracy. Well, that's an argument they don't have an answer to. They can't answer that. So what we do, we try to close that argument down by demonizing Putin. But he always replies in a very low-key way. So I think he is emerging as the leader of the free world. not the sock puppet in the White House.